God. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. I'm one of your hosts, or I'm 50% of your hosting team, Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by by the other 50%, Marcie.
Hello.
What a weekend we've had. I feel like it's been. I
Oh
feel
my
like I've
God.
gone through all the emotions possible since we last recorded on Thursday.
I think we've discovered some new emotions.
We've discovered some new emotions. So of course we're going to talk at length about Joseph Woll, obviously. We have two perspectives to talk about regarding that game as well against the Senators on Thursday, because one of us watched the broadcast and the other one was at the game sitting behind Joseph Woll's net. So in a Joseph Woll jersey, which I got a compliment on when I was leaving the arena. I was like, yes. So also, we're going to talk about his return to social media, because I feel like that's also just breaking news in general.
Yeah.
But we'll start by talking about some actual hockey first, before we talk about Joseph Woll on social media. But because I feel like we have like a lot to talk about. So we're going to start Leafs versus Sens on Thursday. Leafs in Ottawa, which means I went to the game. I was at the game. Had some good seats in the 300s. Yeah, my big note that I noticed right away, and now I don't have a lot of notes on this game because I was writing notes on my phone between like when there was like stoppages of play and like TV timeouts and stuff, but I did notice that at the start, I don't know if you noticed this, there was a mixed up fourth line to start where Kampf and Gregor were up with Yarncroke. Like, I wouldn't say that Reeves was like elevated to the third line with Domi and Robertson. If anything, I'd say they were brought down to the fourth line to play with him. Because if you're playing Ryan Reeves on your third line, I will march down to Long Island right now and slap some to Sheldon Keefe. But yeah, so it was just something that I noticed where I was like looking at the line, and it wasn't even like they were caught between a change. Like it was a full shift where it was a couple of shifts where it was Kampf and Gregor with Yarncroke, and I just thought that was something interesting to note at the start of the game. Eventually got back to the normal lines, but it was just something at the start of the game where I was like, what are you trying here?
What's going on here?
What's going on? I mean, we will talk about that fourth line because that fourth line had a great game against Nashville. They looked really good against Nashville. I mean, the whole team looked really good against Nashville. So we'll talk about that game too. But some really great early saves by Joseph Woll. He was playing his best game of the season. He let in 2 goals, but one of them was a Josh Norris breakaway on a bad turnover coming off of a Leafs power play. And the other one was he got stick lifted by his own teammate.
Yeah.
Like,
but it happens.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but it does.
It shouldn't, but yeah, so obviously, first goal of the game is Leafs coming off of an okay power play. I would say, like, I don't know, the penalty kill has definitely been better than the power play as of lately.
Oh, yeah.
Lets Josh Norris get a breakaway, and the former end scores. It was a good shot by Norris. Like, he was playing top line center this game. So yeah, and then Mitch Marner, though, to tie it back up, that was a really nice goal. There was a guy like a section over from me. I did post about this on Twitter, who was wearing a Marner jersey, and when Marner scored, had taken his jersey off and was going tarps off, waving around his jersey like a flag. And I was like, that was actually just me. That's the only way to appropriately celebrate a Mitch Marner goal is tarps off. I feel like he would approve of that. But yeah, if you ever want fun energy for a game, sit in the 300s of in the Canadian Tire Center for a Leafs versus Sens game, because it's a great, like, it's loud. I did see a couple tweets being like, oh, it's so quiet. I'm like, that's the broadcast, because I was in that arena. It was a loud game. There was like there was the Go Leafs Go chants, there was Go Sens Go chants, there was like both at the same time trying to like be louder than each other. But yeah, and then Joseph Woll with the save on Matthew Joseph, again, another just highway
Insane.
robbery of a save.
Honestly,
One of those
I
saves
was like, what the fuck?
people were standing up. There was a couple guys a couple rows ahead of me, like bowing down to pull after a couple of his big saves. I was like, yeah.
That is the energy we want.
That is the energy we want. And then Camp. We're gonna talk about the fourth line because he's been great the past couple of games as well. Gets one in the chaos in front of the net to make it 2-1.
Incredible.
I believe that's also the goal where Tavares gets a point and assist on it, so that brings him. We're on John Tavares 1,000-point count here.
Yes.
We've been watching that. That's something to watch. Hopefully, fingers crossed for a 2-point night in tonight against the Islanders. But then also, can we take a moment for the Yarncroke tic-tac-toe goal with Domi and Robertson to make it 3-1?
Insane.
That was a beautiful play, and that's one where you like look at that third line and you're like, that third line works. It works so well, and it's almost upsetting that we never started with that third line because like now in 2020 hindsight, it looks so obvious that would be the best option for the Leafs on the third line is those three. But of course, like our third line at the beginning center was like what, like had like Nylander. It was like Nylander center, Domi, and right, like what Nylander.
Yeah, was...
At one point, our third line was like Kampf, Domi, and Nyes. Who thought that was going to work? It never did. And then you had like Nylander was going to be like the third line center at one point. But I am actually really happy with the way that we're rolling with that third line. A lot of people are saying like, oh, like Robertson can't play it in the playoffs. I'm like, no, but that's the line that you kind of want. I don't know. I feel like I'd want that line in the playoffs, but.
Oh yeah, because it's like they're like consistent and they don't fuck up.
Yeah.
Like half as bad as everyone else.
Oh yeah. And then back the other way for the first goal of his NHL career, Bernard Docker. Congrats to him. Like when they were like, and his first of his career, I was like, of fucking course it was, right? Like it's the Leafs we're talking about here. Of course.
Yeah, it just had to be.
Yeah. Bernard Docker, he was put on waivers at the start of the season, and a lot of people were like, oh, potential to be like a draft bust, but I haven't been following the Sens specifically. I haven't been following like the AHL and the Belleville Senators at all. Nor have I really been following the Sens too deeply, besides like just what I get from living in Ottawa. But I don't. Good. He seems like a good defenseman for what they're working with. But yeah, Woll got stick listed by Brody on the shot, so what can you do? And then. Now we have to talk about the moment I really didn't want to talk about.
No.
Joseph Woll goes down with 10 minutes into the third, hurt off of a shot. Now, from what I saw from the back, I was sitting behind the net. So from what I saw, it looked like similar to was it against the Penguins? Samsonov got hit. Was that the Pittsburgh game? Or was that? It was Samsonov's last game though that he played. I do remember that. I think it was Pittsburgh. Was where he got hit in the neck collarbone and just had to take him in. And that's what I thought it was at first, because he went down right after blocking a shot. And from what I could see from sitting behind him, I thought, that's what it was. And then he wasn't getting up. And then I started to panic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was a kid sitting about 2 seats down from me, so I feel like if there wasn't that kid there, I'd be swearing way more than I actually was. But I was sitting there and I was like, oh no. And obviously he left with some discomfort. Like he left with help. He had to get Reeves and Brody to carry him off the ice, essentially. He couldn't put any weight on his one foot. And that's when you're like, oh no. Because with goalies, you go knee and groin. Right? And that's my word.
It's like his knee has just exploded into a billion pieces.
Oh yeah. But turns out we do have information on what it is. It's a high ankle sprain, which is the same injury that Timothy Liljegren is out with right now. And Liljegren today in practice was on a D pair with Lajoie, so he is back to full like morning skates at least. So, you know, hopefully we see a similar timeline. Maybe that's the expectation, but of course, you know, two different positions.
From
we
what
don't know.
I've seen people saying on like Twitter and like with how other similar goalie injuries have gone, they said like 6 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, so we won't see him until the new year.
Yeah, it's gonna be like
probably
mid-February.
At
the latest.
All-Star break.
Worst case.
Won't see him until the All-Star break.
Oh no.
But I really hope it's not. I really hope it's, you know, sometime in January. Fingers crossed. And we're not stuck waiting until February. But that does mean that Jones is in for relief in his first time playing in any like considerable like regular season NHL game since last season, because he only played preseason games for the Leafs so far. But yeah, so because obviously Samsonov was not in backup because he was still not feeling 100%. Yeah, and then you got Nylander with the assurance goal. It's just a classic Nylander goal where you're like, yeah, this is Nylander doing Nylander things. And then Giroux goal on a prolonged ozone time for the Sens to make it 4-3. I mean, you know, you don't like, you're throwing in Martin Jones cold, and I think he did do a really good job. He made some really really good stops and some you know, some high important saves for going in as a guy who went in cold essentially in the third period of a game, right? With like no warning. And then there's this funny moment that I just want to point out where the lights go out near the end of the period, and you just watch all the Leafs put their hands up, and they're like, what? Because it was like 6-on-4, and it's like 6-on-4. Sens had it in the Leaf zone. They were like, and then the lights go out for a second, and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And no one knows, like, who knows? We never got an explanation as to why the lights went out. It was just weird that there was, you know, refs didn't blow a whistle, but it was like a quick, someone hit the wrong switch and then flipped it back on kind of thing, where I was like, how did that happen? But yeah, so, and then, yeah, Jones made some solid stops with 6-on-4. It was like the last, like, 50 seconds, 6-on-4, because of a Connor Timmins penalty. I think it was Connor Timmins, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So, of course, we'll talk about the injury. Yeah, so Samsonov and Jones to be the tandem going forward for the Leafs. Hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we don't deal with any more injuries for Leafs goaltending, or you're starting to dip into your young, like the young guys on the Marlies, like Dennis Hildeby, who we will talk about in a little bit. We do have a whole segment dedicated to some Leafs prospects. But yeah, he was, so high ankle sprain. He was seen against Nashville at the game, sitting up with the dads in their little box that they had, chomping, like he was snacking away.
His little popcorn.
I was like, because honestly, when he got hurt, like I was like, oh my god, he's hurt. This sucks. And then I was like, oh no, Joseph Woll's hurt. We're not gonna get him to see him play. And then I'm like, we're not gonna see him in general.
Like ever.
And then what do we know? In the span of 24 hours, we see him on the broadcast 3 times, because they're like, oh yeah, no, they keep talking about his injury, obviously, because that's the big story for the Leafs right now, because of how good of a season he was having. And it was like, what, 915 save percentage, 280 something goals against average, like playing fantastic. They show him 3 times, and then last night at like 10 o'clock at night.
This was 3 a.m. for me. 3 o'clock in the morning. I was about to go to bed.
It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm watching the like Sharks versus Golden Knights game because I'm up studying still for finals, and I'm like, whatever. And I get like 5 panicked DMs from Marcie, just going in all caps, just Emma. And I was like, 1, either she's dying. 2, she's about to drop the most heartbreaking edit on me without warning, and I'm about to die. And then I could not, or 3, for some reason a GM is making a trade at 10 o'clock at night, and we know the player, right? Like that's what's going through. And somehow I missed it because Elliot Friedman didn't tweet about it, right? And I have his tweet notification, so I was like, what? Joseph Woll's back on Instagram.
I just sent his screenshot and I was like, it's happened.
I can't believe it. I mean, I am a little bit traumatized from athletes that I like getting on social media, because the last time this happened, it was Sebastian Vettel announcing his retirement from F1, and that was something I did not need to experience at 6:00 in the morning. But this is good. I really do hope that we see I don't know, we see like some Lego updates from him, please, Joseph, if you're listening.
Please.
Post the Lego. I want to know when you finish. I want to know what you're building. That would be fantastic. I think that's what the people need to see. That's like so many of his Instagram comments too on his latest post as well. That it was like
just like
where it was like,
show you Lego collection.
Yeah, it was
Lego
like,
going?
how's the Lego going? Can we build Lego together? Like,
I'm just like, if I was him, I'd just like sit there and scroll through. I'd just be like giggling to myself. I'd just be like,
yeah,
these fuckers.
But yeah, if you want like a wholesome like Instagram follow, check out Joseph Woll. His like follow list too, like the accounts that he follows it's like his teammates, his team, his family, and like NASA. And
fucking NASA.
And there's an account as well for a mental health not institution, but mental health association and charity here that's located here in Toronto. I don't live in Toronto anymore, but that's located in Toronto. So it's a good follow. He's now like one of two hockey players that I follow Instagram, the other one being Zach Aston Reese, who I follow for the dog content. And we'll talk about Zach Aston Reese in a little bit later, because we have some news regarding our favorite graphic designer. But we should talk about the Leafs' really good win against the Predators as well, unless you have anything to add about the Senators game. I mean, they won in regulation, which we see this as a win. It's a miracle. I mean, at what cost? But it was just a really good game by the Leafs, I think, on a lot of ways. For sure. But yeah, let's talk Preds versus Leafs, which is a fantastic game. 4-0 win. Shootout for Samsonov. Yeah, Reeves in his second game in a row on the fourth line. Or is this his third? I'm trying to remember if he played against Seattle. Boston. Yeah, he did. So this is his third game in a row on the fourth line. But then Marley's defenseman Mikko Kokkonen was also recalled on an emergency basis, and he took warm-ups. So there's definitely some sort of bug that's going around the team right now, for sure. And more guys other than Samsonov and Lagesson who was at practice today, and his status on whether he's going to play is a game time decision. But there's got to be something going around. But yeah, I have a big note for me is Matthew Nyes playing a physical game of hockey.
Oh my god. I was like, my friend was around watching, and I was like, every 5 seconds, every time he like had a massive hit, I was like, fucking hell. And she was like, what's happening? I'm like, did you see this man absolutely fucking destroy just everyone?
Yeah, I love when players remember that they're big, because there was also a couple good hits by Matthews as well. I'm like, when Matthews remembers that he's like 6'3", again 215 pounds. I looked it up after our last podcast where I said he was 200. So I looked it up. He's actually heavier than I was saying. But when players remember that they're big and they have weight to throw behind, and of course, obviously, the hits have to be clean. But like they were some good clean hits that the Leafs were putting down. Reeves was looking shaky at the start. Yeah, go ahead. You can talk about it.
It was like that one clip I keep seeing where it's like Matthews hit, nice hit, Matthews, and I'm just like, gee, they're just like throwing everyone around. And I'm like, this is what we need. Where has this been?
Yeah, like a physical top line is what like all of the hockey uncles on Twitter have been saying for years now, that they're like, oh, we need more physicality to this team. This top line used to be physical. Well, here you have it. You know,
Yeah.
even though Nyes isn't really scoring at like the pace people expect him to, I don't know why they expect him to be catching up with like Connor Bedard. It's Connor Bedard, but who is like 7 points in the lead of the rookie scoring race or something ridiculous I saw today. But the fact that he's contributing to this team, and especially to that top line in other ways, in being physical and being that big body to be there on that line, is fantastic. Reeves looked not great at the start. All of his games are just slow starts. And then, but that fourth line really did start to click later in the game. But yeah, second line was also able to be efficient as well. They didn't score. I don't think. Oh, no. Wait, no, they didn't. But it was a good game from that second line as well, of Bertuzzi, Tavares, and Marner. Top line, yeah. I just have a lot of like top line with like good looks until we get to the David Kampf goal, who I don't even think David Kampf himself realized he scored a goal until he's like heard the buzzer go.
He was like, oh.
But yeah, so that's his, and he was 6 seconds into a shift when he scored as well,
not bad.
Which is not bad. No, it's not bad at all. It also like Tavares got a bench assist. He was on the bench when the goal was scored. Like that's just how quickly off the bench Kampf scored. Leafs are also 11-0-0 at home when Kampf scores in a game, which
always a good sign.
That's such one of those random stats where you're like, how does someone like, who's tracking that? Like, yeah, I'm sure Sportsnet has like a whole department full of like just stat nerds who do that, but I'm like, how do you even find that? Because I can barely navigate any of the stat websites effectively without checking out 3 different stats at the same time, 3 different websites at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I want
to know which little David Kampf enjoyer sat there just tracking his every move.
Yeah, because in some of the other topics we're going to talk about, like I did some lookup from stats. I literally was on 3 different websites looking up stats for some of these teams that we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, and then Austin Matthews with the tap in on a Nylander shot for 2-0. Like that's just one of those things where it's like that's like peak getting like Nylander and Matthews clicking together on the same line. Yeah, and then that also moves Austin Matthews into 4th for most home goals in Leafs history. And like then again, that's one of those things where also you look at the other list of people that he's on that list with. Like you look at the other guys on that list that he's passing and things like that, and it's like all just like old classic Leafs, and you're like, oh my god. That's when you like. Yeah, because it was like one of those things where it was moves into passes the stat. I can't actually remember where I found it, but it was like something where he was passing like George Armstrong for something, and it's like George Armstrong had like a 30-year career or something ridiculous. Like people don't realize how long this man played hockey for. It was insane. Samsonov had a great game. He looked great. I mean, he only faced 18 shots, but I think that's also indicative that the whole team was playing great, and the fact that he faced 18 shots. There was still some dangerous shots that he did face. Like the Preds in the third for a few minutes looked like they were going to get looked like they have some really good chances. Yeah. And then there's this hit by McCabe on Luke Evangelista. The poor 19-year-old kid absolutely laid out. Because I was watching the game with my roommate for some of it. She was studying and she would pop in and watch a little bit with me, and she watched. And so at the start of the game, she was they showed a shot of Luke, because he's from Toronto, so they showed a shot of him on the bench, and she's like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, oh, that's Luke Evangelista. He's 21, and she's like, oh, okay, he's our age. I was like, yes. That's what she asks every time. And then she gets, and then, you know, she sees him get laid out, and she was like, oh, what's that? And I was like, who was that? I was like, that was the guy you were asking about at the start of the game, like, who got just absolutely laid out. And then, you know, McCabe gets fought by Sutherland, I think is his last name, which I'm not gonna lie, it was a clean hit.
Yeah, it was yeah.
It was a clean hit. So I get standing up for your 21-year-old kid, but also like your 21-year-old teammate, but also at the same time, like,
it was
why
fine.
are you going after the guy like for like a hit like that? Like it was a clean hit.
It was insane. Like I was like just sat watching it with my friend, and then it happens, and I grab her arm and just go, he did not. Because I was like, I'm not gonna lie. Recently, I've kind of like, I keep forgetting that he's still on the team.
McCabe?
Yeah.
He's like the only defenseman we still have besides like Riley.
And I still keep forgetting he's there. Like I'm just like, every so often I'll see him, I'm just like, oh shit, we didn't get rid of him.
I think yeah, because he was part of the the O'Reilly trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone who we got, like every player who we got at the trade deadline is gone besides Jake McCabe. And and he's not gone because he's still under contract. Like he's on a $2.5 million contract or something, like 2.5 or like $2 million contract or something, where it's like, it's not a bad cap hit for what he's giving to the Leafs right now. Like at the start of the season, he didn't look great. No. And I think he's found his stride, I think is a good way to say it. Nyes gets tripped. I'm mentioning that Nyes got tripped on a 2-on-1 chance with Nylander because it leads to a Leafs power play where Austin Matthews scores 2-goal night, where Nylander records his 460th point for the Leafs, passing Landon McDonald for 15th in Leafs history. So, way to go, Nylander. Austin Matthews also has a fun, like, you know, falls post goal. I love those photos. The photos like when a player scores and they're like on the ground, like, I love those. They're great. They're great to use on Twitter as reaction memes. Oh, yeah. But that's also point number 988 for John Tavares, in case you were keeping count. So he's short 2 points going into Long Island. And then Noah Gregor.
Tonight we're gonna get John Tavares' revenge hat trick.
Yeah. And then Noah Gregor. That's what I want too. Noah Gregor with the empty net to make it 4-0. But yeah, Samsonov gets his 11th career shutout on the game. The first one for the Leafs since April 1st of last season. So
I'm so happy for him.
I know he seemed to like be really back, and you know, he did get off to a really shaky start to start the season, but I think he, you know, obviously sees an opportunity, and he said that in his post-game interview as well, that he sees this as an opportunity for him to be more, to gain confidence and, you know, kind of, you know, maybe fight a little bit for that number one spot for the Leafs goaltending, because, you know, before getting hurt, it seemed like the job was Joseph Woll's now, right? Yeah. A lot of people were like, oh, by April, like he's gonna have the number one spot, and it very quickly turned into no, he's gonna get it before Christmas, and now he's hurt, so now this is a chance for both Samsonov and Jones to kind of step up and, you know, play well. I mean, we can talk about Leafs and what we should look forward to. Leafs and Islanders. We have some I did find that Austin Matthews. So this is from NHLPR. Austin Matthews scores twice on Saturday and passes George Armstrong for sole possession of the 5th most home goals. Yeah. So it's like he also passes Rick Vey for sole possession of the 2nd most multi-goal games in Maple Leafs history, only behind Daryl Sittler at 71. That's insane.
That's how. Like, it's incredible. It's insane that he's like like, is it 25? And he's
Yeah.
still
25. Like,
and he's done all this, and I'm like, Jesus.
I know. So, sorry, my phone lit up and I want to see what the notification was. So yeah, obviously also Leafs dad trip, this road trip. So all the dads are there, which is always fun to watch. But yeah, so Samsonov will start today against New York, which I think is the expectation.
Yeah.
Obviously, the expectation is because the Leafs are going into a back-to-back. They play the Islanders today and then the Rangers tomorrow. I think Jones will probably start Tuesday against the Rangers.
Yeah, I think I shot him.
Yeah, I mean that would be the expectation, right? Is especially, even though the Rangers seem, they are a pretty good team right now. You would like to, not overload Samsonov with work when he's coming back from illness. But yeah, at practice as well, Liljegren was on a fourth line pairing with Max Lajoie. And then Reeves was on the fourth line instead of McMahon today at morning skate. Other than that, lines stay unchanged. Oh, Lagesson was back on the second pairing with McCabe. Again, like we said earlier, he's a game time decision on whether he's going to play or not, according to Sheldon Keefe. Just because, just he's not to see how he feels coming back and that sort of thing. Another thing to keep an eye on, again, like we've said, John Tavares sits at 998 career NHL points, so he could reach 1,000 against his former team today, which I really hope for. I really do. I love a good narrative. So
I like when they work for us instead of against us.
Yeah.
Recently, it's a lot of the narrative is working very much against us.
Yeah, and to have his dad there as well, like it to be on the dad's trip, I think it would just be really great. Yeah, do we have anything else to talk about regarding the Leafs before we the big Leafs before we talk about some Leafs prospects and things like that?
That's all the big Leafs.
That's all the big Leafs? All right. I feel like that is all the big Leaf stuff we have. So, yeah, here we go. So some little Leafs previous. So we have some prospect updates to give. Easton Cohen extended his active point streak to 5 games with multi-point games on Tuesday and Friday for the London Knights. Leads the OHL with 7 shutout points. Not shutout, 7 shorthanded points. And then his stat total is in 23 games played, he has 12 goals and 39 points, which is a 1.7 points per game. Yeah, I did the math on that.
Nice.
It's actually like 1.695, but I rounded out to 1.7. So you're welcome, Easton. I made you look better on that math that I did. I didn't get the stats where I did the points per game myself. But yeah, I think that's fantastic. Like he's really, really shot off this year on the Knights. And then as well, which is great. I think a lot of people doubted him and saw that he was a mistake for the Leafs to draft him in the first round. Like he wasn't projected to go until like a late second, early third. But I think for sure, like it's something where they were looking at his full season results and not just the back half of his season last year, in which it was fantastic. And I think he's going to only get more and more better. Like he's only going to get better and better. Currently, both him and other Leafs prospect, Fraser Mitten, started Teams Canada's selection camp on Sunday for World Juniors. The camp will consist of practices, scrimmages, and 2 U Sports games. I actually looked on the U Sports website to see what schools it was because I was curious, and I could not find them. So they are in Oakville, so I'm assuming it's probably one of them is probably against like U of T. And then I don't know who else would be in Oakville. Maybe U of T, Ryerson, York, probably. I'm trying to McMaster maybe as well. Trying to think of schools in that area that they would play against. Again, it's literally the middle of finals for everyone. So I feel fortunate for these U Sports athletes who are gonna have to play a bunch of like a bunch of 19-year-olds during the middle of their finals, because usually a lot of like U Sports hockey players are all like this is all them coming like post junior career for a lot of these guys. They often then do Canadian universities. But yeah, we're not going to go too much into detail about rosters and stuff when they do get announced. We're going to do like a special World Junior preview, like we said. So just a little update. Another update. Both Cohen and Brinton are rooming together in the hotel. They're sharing a hotel room for the camp, which I think is really great for those guys. Cute. Especially because I think both of them have teammates also at the camp. But the fact that they're rooming together as Leafs prospects, I think is really great. So, but yeah, and then also talk about the Marlies as well. Marlies goaltender Dennis Hildeby, save percentage is now a .927 on the season after a 3-1 win versus the Grand Rapid Griffins. The 22-year-old has a .532 record and a 1.8 goals against average. I had to actually count out his record myself because it does not actually show his record on the AHL website or on any stat pages that you look at. I had to look at his game per game breakdown and count each win. I don't know why they don't at the AHL level like don't show like goalie records, because like you'd think they show how many games played. You would think if they show a game per game like game log, and they show if the goaltender has won or lost. Like, anyways, it's just one of those things where it's like, why isn't this included in goalie stats for this sort of thing? But yeah, for a stellar first full season in North America, I don't personally think he's quite ready this year for NHL hockey. Maybe next year we could see him in a backup role with Joseph Woll, because like Samsonov is a UFA at the end of the season.
Yeah, so, I think like he's not ready yet. No.
In an emergency situation, yes. Like if you're unfortunately like Samsonov or Jones gets hurt and you're stuck, then you have no other choice but to call him up. But if you don't have to, I wouldn't call him up this season.
No, like as I've said quite a lot on the podcast, let him develop in the AHL and it'll do wonders. Like, don't rush your goalies, because it's just it won't end well for anyone.
Yeah.
But like he has got a really good future. Like, it is looking incredible for like him with the Leafs, with Woll, because I refuse to believe that Woll is ever going to play anywhere else, because that will break my heart and I don't know what I'm going to do if he ever leaves.
The future is bright for Leafs goaltending. I will say that. I think it's something we can actually for once, feel confident about, the fact that we have some really good home developed talent. I won't say homegrown because none of them are from Toronto. Some home developed talent coming through the pipeline for the Leafs in terms of who's going to be in net in the future. For like the first time in what feels like years. I feel like, we've never really had that. I think the last time we've had like a Leafs developed goaltender who's come through the program and then has become the starting goaltender for the Leafs was like Reimer.
Yeah.
Which was quite a long time ago. But yeah, so we'll talk about Dylan Strome. On Thursday versus Dallas, Dylan Strome scores his 100th career NHL goal and his third multi-goal game this season. It's also Alex Ovechkin's 1500th career point in the NHL. We
love to see it.
We love when Dylan Strome does well. I think, I think for sure he's finding his place in Washington. I think, like a lot of people considered him a bust. I think just like Arizona, he was not given an opportunity.
No.
He was all like his first season after being drafted with Arizona, he was in 3 different leagues. playing in 3 different leagues. He played NHL games, he played AHL games, and then he played OHL games with Erie. Like, and then also, like, yeah, he wasn't bad in Chicago, but I think for sure Washington is the place for him, and I think you can see it in the way that he has become a star for the Capitals for sure, especially with Backstrom out. Like, he's really had to step up in terms of his offensive production, and he has. And congratulations to Strome.
Because, like, this season he's projected.
Oh yeah, what is his projection?
36 goals, 10 assists, 46 points. Like,
that's a career high. That's a career high. Would it be 36? That must be.
Yeah, that'd be by a long way. I think the last season he had 23. It's like, if he's on track for 36, that's like insane. It's also really good for my fantasy team.
Marcie beat me in fantasy this week.
I did.
It's not my problem that like I had like 3 players hit day-to-day status. My fantasy team right now is struggling. We're going to talk about the Detroit Red Wings in a little bit, but JT Compher was announced. It was announced by the Red Wings today that JT Compher was going to go on retroactive IR, which screws me over because my IR slot is already filled by Thomas Chabot right now, so I had to straight up drop JT Compher so I could pick up Philip Forsberg. So I think this is a turner. Yeah, I don't know why Philip Forsberg was still like available in our league too. Like he was like had the highest points in our league he was like highly ranked in our league of players available. I was like, okay, I guess I'll take his mustache, even though it reminds me of like my ex-roommate's like crazy boyfriend. But
I think it's just because we picked based on
vibes
and who's like our little guys.
Yeah.
Rather than like I've got Justin Hall. Like he's, to be fair, he's done better than I thought he would so far.
I mean, in the games that he's played, he hasn't played every game for the Red Wings. But speaking of Dylan Strome, Connor McDavid is he real? Like, we talk about, is Connor McDavid like watch all this talk about biological clock and winning a cup, blah blah blah. After a slow start, it's like, oh, okay, finally Connor McDavid can relate to what it's like being a girl at a family holiday event. Being asked about your like biological clock, like Jesus Christ. But
time's running out.
Oh, I know. Sorry, I just always get so nervous. Oh, there's an update on Dylan Larkin as well.
Oh, is there?
It's a video from the coach that Elliot Friedman retweeted. Oh my god, my phone is buzzing from other things. But Connor McDavid has, and I had to update this since there was one tweet posted by the NHL about it, and I had to update it since that tweet because he scored more goals. Connor McDavid is 23 points in the last 9 games. That's stats from yesterday, and then tied for 7th in league scoring. He got hurt, came back from injury. Like, this Edmonton Oilers team is a completely different team than what we saw prior to them getting a new coach. But could this be the turnaround for Edmonton? I think a lot of people had them projected to be a cup contender. Like, everyone was like, oh yeah, the final is going to be Edmonton and Carolina. We're going to talk about Carolina in a little bit, but I do like McDavid. Is McDavid like he's like a McRobot? Like 23 points in the last 9 games is insane. That's insane.
What the fuck?
I actually, you know what? I will provide the point. Hold on. 23 divided by 9 is 2.5 points per game. That's insane.
He's not real.
That's craziness. He's not real. I think he's a robot. He's a robot. Like, McJesus is real. McJesus is a fitting nickname, and I know this pace of point production is not sustainable because it's not sustainable for anyone. But I do think like this could be the turnaround that the Oilers need and kind of prompt this whole team to get better. Yeah. Like, even their goaltending has been better for sure. Like, Stuart Skinner has been playing pretty well. Their defense is still a little wishy-washy, and the game. I think I saw like part of their game on Saturday. Like in the games that I've seen from them, it's a little bit iffy sometimes. But yeah, like it. Okay.
Yeah, like I've got my only notes for the McDavid section is just 23 points in the last 9 games played. Who is she in all caps and bold?
Is she, I mean, we do like when we look at the standings as well. My standings are just slow to load up. Here we go. On the Western Conference. They are now moved into 4th. In the Pacific Division and have played 3 less games than the Golden Knights. Well, 4 less games than the Golden Knights and 3 less games than the Canucks, who are in the top 2. So they're like 12-12-1 is their record. They're 7-3 in their last 10. So, and they're on a 7-game win streak. The Oilers are on a 7-game win streak. Like yeah, that's not sustainable, but
that's insane. Like if you told us like even a month ago,
if you told us when we started this podcast that the Oilers would be on a 7-game win streak and would be 4th in their division, I would have called you crazy, because I think one of the first things we talked about was probably the Oilers. That definitely was a topic. Yeah, we did talk about Edmonton in our first show, and here we are 7 episodes later, like
mind blown.
But yeah, way to go, Edmonton. Do we want to do Carolina or Pittsburgh?
We can do Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina, Pittsburgh. Carolina. Okay, so according to Elliot Freeman, I think he mentioned this on Saturday night, like Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday, and then I just found a tweet from like a Hurricanes like news account. The Hurricanes are making plans for Anderson to not be back. Like they're preparing for Anderson to not return for the regular season, and they're now coming to accept this as a possibility that he will not return to them during the regular season this year. I think everyone knows Anderson has been out on long-term injury because of a blood clotting issue, and that the Canes are now going to start entering the goalie trade market. Carolina currently sits 6th in the Metro division. They have a 14-12-1 record, but they are 4-5-1 in the last 10, including they're currently on a 4-game losing streak, which isn't good.
No, not ideal.
Their current goaltending, their current goaltending average across both of their goalies is like an .867 save percentage.
Ouch.
The only problem is there's not a lot of goalies out there on the goalie market right now.
No.
To fill the position that they want. Like they may find someone better than what they have now, but they're not going to find someone who fits. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to find someone who's going to totally change the team around. I feel like there's also things that need to be happening here, but like it is a lot of it does fall on the goaltending. They have the least amount of shots against per game. Like they only allow on average per game 25 shots, which is the least in the league. But yeah, and then it also is a defensive problem as well. But like goaltending is definitely like probably the quickest fix for the Hurricanes right now if they want to turn around their season and make the playoffs, like everyone expects them to, for sure. So I'm like thinking about this. I'm like, I don't even know who you would go after without paying an arm and a leg. Who are you going to target? That's not, you know what I mean? Like maybe Jack Campbell. Would you want to take on that $5 million cap hit though?
Yeah.
For something that you don't know what you're getting. You could be getting something close to Leafs Jack Campbell, or you could be getting to earlier this season Jack Campbell. You don't know, right? Like
it's a risk.
And you're paying. It's a risk for sure, and you'd also have to approach the Edmonton Oilers, who, you know, may also run into their own goaltending problems as well. Like who knows?
It's not looking good.
No, it is not, which is unfortunate as well. You know, I look at this problem that they're having, and you know, they're like, I think for them, they're entering, like, I think they maybe should have. I mean, again, we don't know what they knew when Anderson first went on LTIR, like because of the blood clotting issue. Like we don't know if they thought, oh, maybe it's something that can be resolved, in the new year, whatever. He'll be back after the All-Star break, whatever. Like they didn't know, and now maybe they do know. But like at the same time, I still would be looking because Freddie Anderson was playing really great before for Carolina, right? And you obviously can see the effects of it now that it's having on their season for sure, of not having him and having Ranta and Kocheknikov. So, but yeah. Speaking of teams that we should be worried about, Pittsburgh Penguins.
The retirement home is
I mean, Kyle Dubas had a press conference today with media just to answer questions. Not really to make an announcement of anything like that, just to talk, and talk he did. I watched some of it, and I actually had, as much as I love Kyle Dubas, I was like, sometimes he can say so much without saying nothing at all. But yeah, so the Pittsburgh Penguins have an 11-12-3 record. They are 3-4-3 in the last 10 games and are on a 2-game losing streak. The big one here, and the one that has a lot of attention, is the power play is currently 0-for-37 since November 11th. So that's a month since the power play has scored a goal, which isn't good. When you have like Sidney Crosby on your power play.
Yeah, you should be.
When your Sidney Crosby, again, like Malkin, like Carlson, Letang is on power play too, like Jake Gunsel. Like when you have those guys on your power play, you should be scoring. They're 30th in power play percentage with a 9.5. And you look at the teams that are like below them, it's like St. Louis and like the Sharks.
Ouch. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, they're currently 7th in the Metro. In terms of standing, and they are like a true 7th, because a lot of teams have played a variety of different number of games. So you look at their points percentage. Pittsburgh is like a true 7th place by points percentage in the Metro as well. So it's not like they've played way less games than everybody, and that's why they're so low. They are a true it's very much like, I feel like it's very much Kyle Dubas was brought into a situation of like, this is your like last dance with these three. And I think a lot of people are like thinking, like, because you think about the core three and they're aging, like, unfortunately, I don't like thinking about like those guys aging. No. But it was a win it all season with the core three to bringing in Carlson. It was very much like we're going to do it or we're going to not. And you have to start to think about the future of that core three. A lot of people are like, oh, maybe will they go somewhere else? Who knows? Malkin or Crosby are both UFAs coming up soon. Right? And like, as much as you think, oh, they're going to retire as Penguins. Yes. But also at the same time, like, how badly do they want to get that one more cup that they're going to be willing to leave Pittsburgh?
Yeah, because it's like, you've got to really want the cup to leave after playing there your entire career, and then you're like, you're fit. People will not be happy.
Well, especially because Crosby has this season and then one more left on his contract, and he currently sits at an 8.7 cap hit, which right now is a fantastic contract. Right? Like technically the contract that he signed to now is like illegal because it's like 12 years. Like it's like 10 years or something. Like it's like 10 years at 8.7, so it's like an 87, because Sidney Crosby, who will only sign.
I love him and his little
quirks, Squiddy.
Yeah,
little quirks. But so you think about maybe what do you do? Because you have to also start thinking about the fact that like what you're gonna have to start making a rebuild eventually with this team. They are going to be going into something like a rebuild.
Yeah, it's gonna be a miserable few years.
That Kyle is going to have to take this team through. Something he didn't really never had to do with Toronto. He inherited a playoff team and they've stayed a playoff team, right?
Yeah.
In his time, in his time as general manager, I think when Lou Lamoriello was here, this team was not very much not a playoff team. But yeah, also over the weekend, the Pittsburgh Penguins signed 2016 fourth overall pick Jesse Puljujarvi to a PTO, who he was traded from Edmonton to Carolina last season before undergoing bilateral hip resurfacing. So a timeline from when he's going to join the lineup is unknown, and whether he'll actually be signed to a contract is also unknown, but he has been participating on the top line with Crosby and Gensel. In practices.
And he's liked it as well.
No.
So it's like, good for her.
Good for him, yeah. So he's also like 25 too, still young, which is big. He's like 25 and already has had hip resurfacing surgery, which holy. Ouch. Should we talk about the Red Wings though now?
I think we should talk about the Red Wings.
Unless you have anything to add about Pittsburgh.
No, I've got
nothing.
No.
All right. Let's talk about Dylan Larkin. And Ottawa. I always feel like I feel like we're treading a very fine line with this conversation because of what I've seen online from both Red Wings and Sens fans has been, and I think people need to remember that more than one thing can be right at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is something that people on the internet forget.
A lot of the time.
Situations are not black and white 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the ones where it's not black and white. It's a whole lot of gray, and both sides have players at fault. But in Saturday's game versus Ottawa, Larkin was injured following contact by Ottawa's Matthew Joseph and Parker Kelly in a front of net scrum. There was contact from Joseph from behind and then Kelly from the front at the same time. And then was down on the ice unconscious before leaving on his own 2 feet. Like, they brought out the stretcher for him and everything. Obviously, Larkin has a history of neck injuries as well in his career. According to Kevin Weekso, however, scans came back negative, but a timeline for return is unknown. But we did have an update that was posted, retweeted by Elliot Freeman about an update about him. Again, it's a video though. I don't want to play it because then I have to cut it out. So maybe I'm trying to think of maybe if we can just like find someone who like tweeted actual like words about it.
Yeah.
Because if you can like find that somewhere,
I will have a look.
I think if you just search, because I mean we could play the video, but
yeah, it's just a lot of people being like, ouch.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we could listen to it.
He's in good spirits.
Good spirits. Okay. But yeah, but after, while you look for that, I'll just continue reading off the notes that I have about it. But after the play, Detroit's Perrin went after Ottawa's Artem Zub after the play, which, like, if you watch the video, it's very obvious Zub was not the guy. Like, Perrin was, like, tangled up beside Zub away from the contact. So obviously, like, you know, where it was a thing where it was Perrin saw the first senator standing close to Larkin. Zub was waving over like medical staff, trying to get the attention of medical staff, and Perrin just goes after him. So that led to by Department of Player Safety, Perrin was offered an in-person hearing for such accident that will take place today afternoon. So maybe we'll get an update while we're still recording. Who knows? It's Monday afternoon. Yeah. But this allows the Department of Player Safety to give Perrin a 5+ game suspension. I found mixed reports. I am not 100% sure if it gives them the possibility to give him 5 games or the minimum that he will be given is 5 games. No news from Department of Player Safety regarding suspension for Matthew or Kelly. I I don't think Parker Kelly. I think Parker Kelly was just wrong place, wrong time when it right for that. Like he was obviously in the wrong place, wrong time, and I think a lot of Red Wings fans think he's partly to blame. I think not. I think his hands were just like in an unfortunate place because his hands were in a place where it was, if Larkin was standing up, it would have been middle of the chest where his hands would have been. But because Larkin was falling, it then was somewhere around the neck, face, jaw area. And then Mattia today in of like a media scrum post practice. That was a loud door. I don't know if you heard that, but just said his apology and said that there was no intent behind it. He didn't do it on purpose, which again, I think there should have at least been like a meeting or a hearing by Department of Player Safety, at least to set some sort of precedent, because I don't know, like over this weekend there was a lot of incidents involving players and big hits and nasty hits and dirty hits that just led to games getting out of control. Florida and Columbus is an example with Nick Cousins and Eric Gabranchen. Like, it's just you're losing control if you're not going to call things properly and you're not going to use your Department of Player Safety effectively. You're going to lead to situations where games get out of control, and then you're giving, and then there's multiple games. Then there's like all these 10-minute misconducts. You saw that again, Rangers and Kings as well. Get out of control as well. Mika Zibanejad with like a 10-minute misconduct. It's just one of those things where it's like, obviously you need to, I'm not saying get rid of hits. I'm not saying, penalized every hit and that sort of thing, but like you can still have clean, heavy hits, and
like if you're gonna allow hits, you've also got to like manage them right. And it's like you can't just like let everything slide and just be like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm a ref and I'm just gonna like not see it.
Turn a blind eye. Yeah. Especially because like this one, it was the hit on Granson from Nick Cousins. That game, that originally was called as a 4-minute major in the game, and then it was reviewed and downgraded to a minor. Which, no. Everyone should go watch the video. It was for boarding. The original call was a major for boarding, which it was. I don't know if Gabranson was bleeding from the hit or from the fact that he then went after Nick Cousins. He like looked like he was down, stood back up like he was the Undertaker, and went after Nick Cousins.
Literally, because he was like flat out, and I was like, and then obviously just like he's back. He just jumps up and I'm like, Nick Cousins.
And then because, of course, the refs didn't call, like, went under review, it got downgraded to a minor, and then wasn't called properly. Granson then next time he and Nick Cousins were on the same shift, goes after Nick Cousins and then gets the 10-minute misconduct for going after him, which of course the reason why he did that is because you didn't deal with it properly when the original like inciting incident happened earlier. And I think it's one of those things where it's like you lead to games getting out of control and you lead to all these things happening because the refs aren't doing their jobs. But who knew that was a new concept?
Makes it more dangerous. But I found some what people have been saying about the Larkin update. Someone said that Joseph said that he's reached out to him, which is nice. Like, yeah, he's done that, and then he's been placed on IR. No definite timetable for return. He's unavailable for at least a week. That's kind of all I found without watching it.
All right. Yeah, I think probably the video says that, but just in like more words than like a coach would say. But yeah, so. But we also, in some updates in some injury news as well, it was announced today from the Detroit Red Wings as well, due to injuries, that they've recalled Jonathan Berggren, Austin Cernick, and former Leaf and everyone's favorite graphic designer and dog dad, Zach Aston It's
time. He's back.
From the Grand Rapids Griffins on emergency conditions. So this is a big day. But it's obvious because JT Compher was placed on IR retroactively to December 5th, Klim Kostin on IR retroactive to December 7th, and Dylan Larkin on IR retroactive to December 9th. So I think, but yeah, it's exciting. Zach Aston-Reese. We love Zach Aston-Reese on the show.
Him. We love him.
We do. I think, it's a big...
Lola.
And Carl and Lola. We love him on the show, obviously, as well. Having be nice. I think Marcie's just happy that him and Justin Hall are playing on the same team. Back together. But yeah. So I think, honestly, it's some good opportunity for these guys to get back into some NHL games for sure. So yeah, we'll see. Something, to keep an eye on what's going on with Detroit as well. They currently are tied for third in the standings with the Leafs, but they have played 2 more games than the Leafs and are on a 2-game losing streak. So we will see. And both of those 2 extra games are losses. The Leafs and the Red Wings both have 14 wins. So I'm just looking up their schedule to see who they play next. They play the Stars today, then they play the Blues, Hurricanes, Flyers, Ducks, and Jets. So I think the next potentially tough game for the Flyers have been playing pretty well recently. So
yeah.
We'll see how. Yeah, definitely. Just if you are curious about a team that got off to a really hot start at the start of the season, definitely keep an eye on the Red Wings if you're looking for one of those teams to just follow who's, playing, who, was off to a hot start. I think that was everything that we wanted to cover. I'm trying to see if I have my notes. We do, however, have some good news stories.
We do.
I'm so excited to share this one. So we were talking a little bit about some Leafs prospects, including Fraser Minten. We have another story about Fraser Minten as well. So the WHL Saskatoon Blades, which is Fraser Minten's junior team that he got traded to this year, their Pride Night was on Friday. Multiple players had Pride tape on their sticks for warm-ups, including Leafs prospect Fraser Minten, who kept it on his stick during the game. He had it wrapped around his shaft, candy can style, during the game. And then Saturday versus Moose Jaw, Minten scored his 5th goal and his 15th point in 13 games.
The little baby Leafs are on fire.
I know, they're doing great, and I think it's just one of those things where it's it's the little things about players that just make you, think, okay, this is great. And I think definitely, sure, it's a junior hockey Pride Night. It's not, the biggest stage in the world, but I think it does mean a lot as queer hockey fans to the fact that, you think about a kid who's been not traded, but has been drafted by this team and, probably, will go on to probably represent Canada, World Juniors. Of course, that roster isn't confirmed. We won't find out till Wednesday, but and we'll probably be back with the Leafs next season to see him, do something. And it's hockey, it's tape on a stick, right? But the fact that but it does mean a lot. The fact that he chose to keep it on for the full game, and it just shows, kids are all right.
Yeah. And as well, it's arguably, yes, it's not a big NHL Pride Night, but the fact that he's still done it even though it's not a big NHL Pride Night makes it even nicer, because it's
yeah it showed the fact that it's definitely something where it's you can tell that it was. I don't know what he's thinking for sure, but it's just those little things where it's he's doing it because it's something where he's supportive, which is it's cool, which is great, as a hockey fan to know that, especially as a queer hockey fan to know that the players that you're fans of
And like
you know,
players that are the future of the team.
Players are the future of the team and the future of the league. So maybe we'll see some changes come to the NHL regarding pride jerseys. Please bring them back during warm-ups. Please. But yeah, I'm trying to like, I think there's nothing else regarding. I mean, we do have some baby updates though.
We do have some baby updates.
Do you have them? Because I don't have them written down. I thought you would have those written down.
I have. Alex Tuck of the Buffalo Sabres welcomed a baby boy at the weekend called Trip.
Oh.
And like the picture was just like.
It was very cute. I saw that picture. Yeah, it was very cute. You sent it to me. And then also Michael Amadio, former Leaf. Former Leaf and of the Vegas Golden Knights welcomed a baby girl over the weekend as well named Scotty. So congrats to the new dads in the NHL. You know.
Oh, and then Scott Wedgwood of the Dallas Stars announced that he's having a baby girl through this new helmet design, which
Okay, that new helmet design, it was like he announced his baby with it, and then also on the other side had picture had Jake on like those little like doodles of Jake Ottinger and Jason Robertson.
And I'm like, you know what? Your three most important things in life. Yeah. Your baby
and your
two teammates.
Your two team children. But yeah, I'm like trying to think if we have anything else to cover, and we don't. But
got through it all.
We did get through it all. Look at us go. I don't know if there's nothing else for me to add. I don't know about you.
No. But there is in Vancouver there are teams interested.
Oh yes, Ethan Bear
about Kuzmenko.
Ethan Bear.
Nothing. Yeah. Although he has got some teams he won't go to, so like that'd be a bit embarrassing. Imagine calling up and being like, "Hey, we want Kuzmenko." And they're like,
I tweeted about that. I tweeted about that. I was like, imagine calling up Patrick Alvin and being like, "Oh, Kuzmenko's like perfect fit for our team. I think he's gonna do really well there." Calling up Patrick Alvin and being like, "So we're interested in making a trade with you," and being like, "So about that, sorry, he doesn't want to go to your team."
Because I want to know how those conversations go down.
Is that like I don't know if it's like, you know, league GMs have like access to full like no trade lists for teams and stuff like that. Like I don't know if that's or if it's something where it's like you only find out about what teams are on that no trade list if you call the team and ask about a player. Also news, slightly Vancouver related, in the Ethan Bear sweepstakes. I don't know why. I was like, I don't know why they are getting like sweepstakes like status, but in the Ethan Bear sweepstakes, sorry Ethan Bear, I just like insulted you by saying like your signing's not really a sweepstake, but I've come off a weekend of like Shohei Ohtani signing, so that's called a sweepstake.
You're still in recovery.
Honestly, the more I read about it, the more I'm maybe glad we didn't get Ohtani. I'm thinking about like the fact that $700 million is nearly $1 billion Canadian dollars, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm not paying much. I don't want to pay more for a beer at the Rogers Center than I'm already paying if I go see a game. But yeah, the team with the most interest right now, eyes on Washington regarding regarding Ethan Bears. The Canucks have been told that they are out of that horse race. So according to Elliot Friedman, the eyes are on Washington. We'll see. Who knows? That's something, you know, maybe we'll find out by Thursday, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. Who knows?
Hopefully.
We have 2 games to cover on Thursday, and then preview another one. Like the Leafs have not really a busy schedule. I'm trying to see if they've had it. They don't really have great. Actually, I take that back. They actually do.
No.
They have a pretty. They actually their schedule's not bad. It's just a lot of travel. They're like on the road the next 2 games, then they're home the next 2 games, and then their next 3 games, and then they're away, and then they're away 2 games, and then it's Christmas, and then they're back home, and then away, and then like they play the Blue Jackets twice in 1 week, both away. I think that's insane. That's crazy. Who's scheduling this? We play in the next, between now and the new year, we play the Columbus Blue Jackets 3 times. Who's scheduling this?
Someone who does not like happiness.
Someone who I don't know, in the month of December really wants to watch the Leafs play Patrick Laine and Adam Fantilli. Someone who really wants to watch Adam Fantilli score a goal against the Leafs. Thanks for that.
No, the thing is, also, I've just realized I need Joseph Woll to be back by mid-February, because on the 19th they play away against St. Louis.
Oh my God. Yes.
And if he's not back to play,
I'm gonna cry.
It'll be.
Oh my God, you're right.
You will see me on the news.
I will be,
because I've got it marked down in my calendar.
I have to buy a new calendar so I can mark off the new year for all the Leafs games. I have all the Leafs games now until the end of the year in my agenda, like in my monthly calendar. I do not have them marked off because I don't have another agenda for next year yet. That's on my Christmas list. But
if he's not back in time for that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all from us for today. Thank you for listening. If you're gonna do anything today, watch the Leafs. Follow Joseph Woll on Instagram.
Never thought we'd be saying that.
Never thought we'd be saying that. I really hope we get some. I don't know. He did say in that Athletic article that if he was gonna come back to social media, it was so he would share some music. So who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Who knows? Fingers crossed we get some Joseph Woll music and I don't know, Lego updates.
You know, I want to be on my Spotify rap next year. Top artist.
Top artist, Joseph Woll.
Then he has to record an artist message. The things I will do.
It's just the longest millennial pause, and then it's him going, with the worst camera angle, just going, "Thanks, guys, for all the support you've given with my music this year. It's been really greatly appreciated. See you on the ice in Scotiabank Arena."
and we all like absolutely eat it up.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh my God, he's done it.
But yeah, follow Joseph Woll on Instagram. Maybe he'll post updates of his how his AT-AT Walker Star Wars Lego set's coming along. I really do want to know when he finishes that. Actually, I'm curious.
Oh yeah.
6,000 pieces is impressive.
Someone who has just built a little Lego set today. I need to know.
Yeah, I built one over the weekend because I was feeling bad. I built it on Friday. Simon got me one for my birthday, and I built it on my floor. That was a mistake. My back and my neck killed the next day. But yeah, it's 2 little like Mercedes cars. There's like a Mercedes like F1 car, and then there's one of their like their endurance cars. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I've got a Lego parcel arriving tomorrow.
Oh, I was on the website all weekend. That was my procrastination from studying. I was like, I wonder what Lego set I want to get. I didn't end up buying any.
Like, do it, but then the thing is, if I do now, because I'm going back home from uni on Friday, it means I'm gonna have to, if I buy anything, it's gonna have to wait till after Christmas, because my mum will be like, "Why are you buying things before Christmas?" And I'll be like, "Because I wanted it, and I didn't want you to know how much it cost."
No, that's my thing. It's like I want the Lego like history museum.
Yes.
I saw that. I was like, I want that. I think Joseph Woll would appreciate that. He follows NASA. I think he would appreciate the history museum. Yeah. Well, but yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for listening. This is From the Fourth Line. You can follow us anywhere you get your podcast. We're pretty much everywhere now, actually, as well, which is pretty great. Follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. Follow both of us on Twitter at PairB1 and at 60 Leafs. And we will see you, we'll see you Tuesday. Not Tuesday. We'll see you Thursday.
Yes.
Can you tell it's exam season? We will see you on Thursday. Thank you. Bye.